Have you ever felt that the very person you love the most, the one you share your days and nights with, somehow becomes the very source of your pain and unrest? A partner, a relationship, meant to be a sanctuary, suddenly feels more like a battlefield. For a Stoic, the question is never, how do I change them? The real question is, how do I protect my peace of mind in the midst of this storm? In this video, we'll explore how a Stoic approaches a toxic relationship, and how to remain calm, steady, and free on the inside, even when love itself feels heavy. The first thing a Stoic remembers is this: we cannot control other people. We can only control ourselves. When your partner acts in ways that are hurtful, manipulative, or toxic, your instinct may be to fight back, to argue, to demand change. But the Stoic pauses. They remind themselves, their actions are not within my power. My reaction is, this shift in perspective is powerful. Instead of being pulled into every emotional storm, the Stoic stands like a mountain. They ask, what is truly mine to decide here? What belongs to them and not to me? Seneca once wrote, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. When a partner is toxic, our mind often multiplies the pain, replaying their words, imagining future conflicts, feeding the fire of resentment. The Stoic practice is to step back, breathe, and see things as they are, not worse than they are. It doesn't mean you tolerate abuse. It doesn't mean you stay silent when you should speak. What it means is this: your peace, your calm, your inner freedom do not depend on whether your partner changes. They depend only on you. And from that space of calm, you can see clearly whether to set boundaries, whether to distance yourself, or whether to walk away. So how does a Stoic actually protect their peace when love turns toxic? It's not only about ideas, it's about daily practices that build resilience from the inside out. 1. Journaling the truth. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote in his journal every morning and evening, not for the world to see, but to remind himself of what truly matters. When your partner's words or actions cut deep, writing them down can create distance. You see the situation on paper, not just swirling in your head. You can ask, is this in my control or outside of it? This simple act of writing clears away confusion and anchors you in clarity. 2. Negative visualization. The Stoics practiced imagining the worst, not to be pessimistic, but to be prepared. When you visualize, what if this person never changes? What if tomorrow they are still the same? You train your mind to accept reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. And strangely, this acceptance brings relief. You are no longer chained to hope or disappointment. You are free to respond with strength. 3. Mastering emotional pause. Epictetus taught, it's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters. When a toxic partner provokes you, the Stoic practice is to pause, even for just a breath. In that pause, you reclaim your power. You choose not to mirror their anger. You choose not to let their poison become yours. That pause is where your freedom lives. Through these practices, a Stoic transforms pain into strength, chaos into calm, and relationships into lessons. And while the other person may not change, you change. You become unshakable. A toxic relationship is perhaps one of life's hardest tests. Why? Because unlike a rude stranger, unlike a difficult boss, this person has access to the deepest chambers of your heart. They know your hopes, your fears, your vulnerabilities. And when that love is mixed with poison, the hurt cuts sharper than any blade. But here lies the Stoic challenge: to remain free, even in chains of love. Epictetus, who himself lived as a slave, reminded his students, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Freedom is not about where you live, or who you are with, or what others do to you. It is about whether you command your own mind. And when your partner acts in toxic ways, this truth becomes more urgent than ever. So what does this look like in practice? It means you stop bargaining with reality. You stop waiting for them to change before you can breathe again. You stop handing over the keys to your happiness into someone else's hands. Instead, you reclaim your inner authority. You say to yourself, "My peace is mine. My calm is mine. My joy is mine." This doesn't mean you deny the pain. Stoicism is not about pretending. The Stoics we admire most, Marcus, Seneca, Epictetus, they were all brutally honest about their struggles. Marcus wrote about his exhaustion, his frustration with people who lied or gossiped. Seneca wrote letters to a friend confessing his anxieties. Epictetus told his students that anger, envy, fear, these feelings visit all of us. The difference is that a Stoic does not let those feelings take the throne. They do not hand over their reason to passion. They let the emotions come, but they do not become the emotions. So when your partner lashes out, yes, you feel the sting. When they withdraw love to manipulate you, yes, you feel the ache. But then comes the Stoic pause. You breathe. You ask, "What belongs to me in this moment?" And the answer is always the same. My response, my virtue, my peace. This is where boundaries are born. A Stoic sets them not from anger, but from clarity. To say no is not to hate. To walk away is not weakness. It is the highest form of strength, because it means you are no longer enslaved to another's moods. The toxic partner may continue their patterns. They may push, provoke, or guilt trip. But your inner citadel, the fortress of your mind, stands untouched. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, the mind is its own place. It can retreat into itself and find peace at any moment, and in that retreat, you rediscover your dignity. You remember that love at its purest is never coercion, never poison, never fear. Real love strengthens the soul. If what you are experiencing weakens it, then what you have is not love. It is attachment, illusion, dependency. And a Stoic learns to let illusions go. This is the paradox. When you stop clinging, when you release your desperate need for the other person to change, you finally become free. Free to stay if it serves your growth. Free to leave if it does not. Free to choose rather than be chained by fear. A Stoic knows relationships may be blessings or they may be trials, but either way, they are opportunities to practice virtue. Patience, courage, temperance, wisdom, these are the true treasures of love. Not control, not possession, not winning every argument. So the next time your partner's words strike like daggers or their silence feels like a cage, remember, you are never without choice. You can always step back into your own soul, the one place no one can touch without your permission. That is where your freedom lives. That is where your peace endures. In the end, a toxic relationship is not only about the other person, it is about you, your choices, your growth, your peace. The Stoics remind us, life will always present challenges we cannot control, but every challenge is also an invitation to rise above, to live by virtue, to discover what freedom really means. If you are walking through the storm of a toxic partner, remember this: you are not powerless. You are not trapped. The fortress of your mind, your inner citadel, can never be taken unless you hand over the keys. No one, not even the person closest to you, can decide your peace for you. That belongs to you and you alone. So ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be in the face of this? Not, how can I fix them? Not, how can I win every argument? But rather, how can I remain wise, just, courageous, and calm? This is the Stoic path. To measure love not by how tightly we cling, but by how freely we can give without losing ourselves. To measure strength not by domination, but by mastery of the self. To measure peace not by the absence of conflict, but by the presence of inner freedom. And perhaps, the greatest paradox of all, when you let go of the need to control another, you finally regain control over yourself. That is where serenity begins. That is where clarity lives. That is where you, the Stoic, stand unshakable. So as you finish this video, I invite you to reflect. What illusions have you been holding onto in your relationships? What fears have kept you silent or chained you to pain? And what would it look like if, starting today, you chose freedom over fear? The Stoics did not promise an easy life, but they promised a meaningful one. And in the arena of love, meaning comes not from possession or control, but from living in truth, courage, and peace. If this message resonated with you, take a moment to sit in silence after this video ends. Breathe. Write down your thoughts. Let the philosophy sink in, not just as words, but as a way of life. And if you'd like to walk further on this Stoic journey with me, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a comment with your reflections, and share this with someone who might need it. Together, we can build a community that turns pain into wisdom and chaos into calm. Because in the end, no matter how toxic the world around us becomes, the Stoic knows, the mind can always remain free. And from that freedom comes peace.
Now, let me share with you a little personal thought of mine. You know, when I listen to this Stoic teaching, I also think about my own life. We all have moments when love becomes heavy, when the person close to us brings more pain than peace. And honestly, it's not easy. I know that. For me, the lesson here is very clear. I cannot change another person. I can only change myself. Sometimes I try to control too much and I suffer more. But when I stop, when I set focus on my own mind, I feel lighter. I think Stoicism is not about being cold. It's about being strong inside, so we can love in a healthier way. If my partner is toxic, I don't need to fight every time. I can choose silence. I can choose distance. And maybe, if I need, I can choose to walk away. That is also love, love for myself. I share this because maybe you feel the same. Maybe you also face this challenge right now. I want to tell you, you are not alone. And I hope this video gives you a little more strength, a little more peace. So, thank you for watching until the end. If this message touched you, please support the channel. Leave your thoughts in the comments. And let's continue to learn together.